I have asked Reggie Elliott from Medtronic to come up because we do quite a few stereotactics in the ENT room, and we, myself included, not very familiar with it. So I wanted Reggie to come up, and he can tell you a little bit more about himself if he wants to, but he's here to kind of go over the process of doing these stereotactics.
Hey everybody, Reggie, nice to meet you. I've worked with some of you and some of you I've not, but if at any time you got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I brought in, set up a little mock setup here, obviously. Got a blue head laying there, so the object I thought what we would do is just start from the very beginning and work our way through it. And again, if you got any questions, feel free to ask me. What I've done at this point is set up a mock little setup here. So I've got the arm with the emitter, and so this is what emits the electromagnetic field that we use for tracking. Okay, so you have to have this set up. You have to have this beside the head. There's no certain measurement that it has. If you'll think of a beach ball radius, that's kind of the radius that this thing emits the tracking with. Okay.
Is it sterilized or?
Nope, it's not. It's non-sterile. This will set up just like this. They can drape over it however they want. Okay. Normally, what we do is we register the patient non-sterile. So we'll do this prior to any sterilization. This will obviously be open on the back table, and generally what we do is the person that's sterile will hand off this sterile registration probe. And we'll do it non-sterilely and unplug to the table. All right. So this sets up just like this. These blue cables, there's two pieces of sterile disposables that you will open. One is called a patient tracker, which is this device here. This is old for some of you that's done ENT. This is one of our older ones. If you'll know, the newer one's kind of like a butterfly shape, but this is one of our older ones. I just had that in the drawer so we didn't have to open the new one. And this is our registration probe with an instrument tracker. So this is what we call the instrument tracker. It's like a little Lego piece. You'll see all of our instruments have these two little notches on them there. This Lego actually sits down on top of those. The one thing that does go wrong on that is a lot of times what we'll do is we'll have this blue thing slid forward, and that's really makes it hard for that to go on those little notches there. So the best thing to do is kind of slide this back, sit that on those notches, and then slide it forward, and that locks that in. Okay. So just to keep the fighting down to a minimum there. So slip that on, and that's kind of works our instrumentation. So this is our instrument box. These blue cables plug into either port, any port, it doesn't matter. There's 8 ports. These plug into any one of them, it doesn't matter. There is a front and a back. There's a notch on the back of these, so you really can't do it wrong. All right. So at that point, we're pretty much to where we are here on this screen. Now all I've done is booted up the system. When it originally boots up, it will say administration. There's applications that will load up. It'll say administration, spine and trauma, or ENT. Obviously, you're going to select ENT. When you double click that, that will prompt the application to go ahead and load. Okay? And this is the screen it comes up to. So we're just selecting a surgeon profile. We use a standard profile for all surgeons here. So that's why there's only just standard profile. We'll scroll to the next screen. This is selecting what type of procedure that we're going to use the stealth for. This is the standard FES, and you will only select standard FES for your cases here. Everything is toggled at the top of the screen, so these arrows, you'll go front and back. Everything is navigated from up here, the top, to the next screen. This is the screen where we'll select our patient. So at this point in the process, this is where you'll put your patient disc in. Do we have one of those? So this is the patient we're using next week, huh?
And this is an actual patient, so when this goes out, it will not show the screen. So what's the screen now?
So the disc drive is down here, pretty straightforward to open and close. You'll open it up, put it in.
And it takes a while.
Where do we get these discs?
I have to go down to radiology and take them patient information, name, date of birth, MR number, and I ask them to make me a copy. And sometimes they can do it in 10 minutes, but I normally give them a day or two.
And this stuff can be loaded, Lori. Like when she went on vacation, she loaded patient information for the 2 stereotactics that we had the week before. So she helps us out, for those of us that don't work in here very often, by getting this stuff loaded.
So at this point, this little box pops up. This is kind of important. So the standard.com formatted CDR is what we're going to always select first.
The what?
This selection here, it's standard.com
Oh, okay.
formatted CDR. It's the third option down from the top. Okay.
Always the third.
We always try that one first. Now, there's times when there's different methods they can use to burn these discs on the burner back there. And every now and then, whether it's back there or at a doctor's office, wherever they do it, every now and then they'll put different options on there that the stealth doesn't recognize. And so I'll show you in just a minute, but that box that popped up, there was an alternate method at the very bottom, the last selection. It was called unstructured, and it said alternate method. If we load this in with our general standard option, the third one down, and we select this, what will happen sometimes is when they burn that wrong or they put a different selection on it with a viewer or what have you, then this will come up and it won't download anything. It'll just go away, and there's no images that pop up. That generally is a telltale sign that they burned that disc with the wrong viewer or a wrong selection. So the best thing to do is take the disc out, put the disc back in, and go to your unstructured alternate method. And most of the time that will resolve any issue that's got. So at this point, it's just importing the images.
While that takes time loading, you can't use the tree. Anesthesia cannot use the tree. It interferes, so they're not very happy with that, but it's just the way it is. And sometimes you have to manipulate this a little bit. You can manipulate it and it'll unscrew and move around just to get it so it gets a good connection. So occasionally, if the probe is not registering with the machine, you have to manipulate that just a little bit to get it to connect
Where do
right.
you keep that piece? Where do you keep that
It
piece?
stays right here, it's connected, it's all connected, so it stays right under there.
And if you'll see up here at the top, it's processing exam. Crook. Okay, so over here on the left side, you should see your patient name. So that's our patient there. We're just going to select it.
Jen, what are you saying? Tell us. We want to know too.
She asked what they were looking for right here, and he's looking for the image that's got the most spices.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Thank you.
I was actually looking too here. These little yellow icons. That tells you that something could be wrong with the scan. So that's what I was kind of looking at. When you click on this, it will bring up an error. If you'll see, it says warning: CT3 does not contain contiguous slices. This may affect navigation accuracy. What that means is there's a gap in the slices. And so it could and it could not affect navigation accuracy. And so what we do is we look for one that does not have that little window, that little arrow. And if this one down here does not have it. So that tells you the scan was done with the proper protocol. If it does not have that warning signs, it does not mean we can't use the scan. It just means that, hey, you need to be looking to see if there's another scan that we can use. And generally there are. These guys do these all the time, so they know what they're looking for. So this one down here is the one we'll select. It's got 126 slices, and it's an axial cut, so you know it's going to be good. At this point, we can scroll over to the next screen. This is the screen where we set up our instrumentation. So all of these, that standard profile that we selected before, it's got these saved in it, so you don't have to add or remove any instruments in it that we're using in
Put your finger over that patient's name
in the
there.
procedure. So this is the screen where we're just verifying our instruments is all we're doing. We're making sure that we've got all the instruments in it. And again, those are already preloaded and preset, so nothing you should really have to do there.
Are these just normal CT scans, or do they have to put a special order in?
So they'll put in a stealth sinus
Okay.
order, yeah.
Yeah, you can pull those up over here, and so the doc can look at them over here too also.
So this right here is our 3D model setting screen. So this is our registration screen as well as our model settings. What we can do here is we can manipulate this to make it look like the patient. So what happened here is we should have a patient's face, and clearly we don't. So what we can do is go into this 3D model settings. And at this point, what we're looking for, we're trying to make this look like a patient, right? So what we can do is go up here and grab this little scroll and scroll it up to make this, and it just removes this, the noise in the model of the scan. Now, you can see that you can go too far, right? So this system and the registration is based on surface contact. So if we drag this too far, obviously the registration is going to be off because the depth's going to be off if we drag this too far. So what you're looking for is drag it just long enough, just far enough to where you see the gray in the model disappear and you see the patient's face. At that point, you're good. You've still got everything in here. You're looking for the red in the head. So if you drag it to where the red's gone, you went way too far. That's pretty good there. Click that one. And now we got a patient face, right? Now at this point, excuse me. At this point, this is where the surgeon will get ready to register the patient. And so you can see here, this is the old style. Like I said, the new one will, it'll look kind of like a butterfly there, but he'll grab this registration probe. We'll stick it in the divot here, and it will register our instrument. Every instrument's got to be registered in the divot, okay? So there's a little divot in this little reference frame here, and every instrument's got to go in there and they're registered. Now what she was saying earlier about the distance of this emitter, a lot of times what can happen is, this down here is our tracking view. We can actually pull that up by just clicking this emitter here, and it'll pull up our tracking view. So what that's telling us is these are the instruments that we're seeing in our field here, okay? The field of the electromagnetic field. So what we can do is we see this stationary point, which is our reference frame. It's our patient tracker. That's the fixed point there, okay? But you can see our registration probe is red, and that's because it's not in the field. So as she was saying earlier, if this is manipulated in a way, you know, it could be too far away, and it'll say close or far, but you can actually pull this up and kind of drive this arm to see where you need to be, how close or far you need to be, so on and so forth. You'll bring this probe in the field, and now you can see the probe. It's green. Does that make sense? at this point, we've gone as far as we can with that patient, so I'm gonna go back to our other patient. Our patient. There's that box that I was saying, the unstructured.com. That's our alternate module. So that's our second option we're gonna try. All right, so at this point, again, I had to go back to load this guy because we can't register that patient. So I went back and loaded this scan, and I registered it earlier. And so let's see, do we want to? I believe I moved that reference frame since I already registered it. Do you guys want me to register it again? Or what do you think? I wish I could go up in the nose, but that's as far as I can go. So guys, this is where we're verifying registration. So I've already registered the patient. And so we've got registration, we got a successful registration, and we're just verifying accuracy. So what the surgeon will do is they'll touch the patient, make sure everything lines up where they want, and at this point the navigation's ready to go. So pretty simple there. The instrumentation could be, you know, he might say, give me the pointer, give me the suction, whatever he may need. And again, every instrument will go in the divot to verify the instrument. So any questions?
And those instruments, they're very delicate, like if it gets bent at all, it won't register, it won't work at
Yeah,
all.
that's true. Generally what happens is the straight suctions are the ones that go first.
And the little number, it has to be under 2 for so many seconds, so see how I'm saying it.
This one's one of them that probably needs to be changed out. Pretty good.
Dr. Singer wanted me to ask you if there's a protocol, like he said, sometimes the discs are coming up and you can see that the patient was crooked in there. So it messes up the film or something like that. He wanted me to ask you about that. I don't know.
So how they're scanned is how it's loaded. We can't fix it once it's scanned that way. They just need to make sure the patient's straight and perpendicular as they can be. But it does kind of throw them off and crooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure does.
We also have instructions that are hanging up right there that also help show you how to load stuff in the machine. And we can attach them to the stealth station if
Up there,
necessary.
it's right there.
Okay.
And at that point, guys, I mean, once he's done with once we've got it all set up, we get the patient registered. At this point, it's just plug and play. So he'll just bring another instrument in, puts it in the divot, that's what he wants to see, and it's just confirming.
How are these cases booked? Will it always say stereotactic?
It should. It should, yeah.
So-
If they've got metal in their neck, are they a candidate for it?
I don't know.
What was your question? I'm sorry.
If they have metal in their neck, are they a candidate for it?
They
Yeah,
are.
I've never,
Yeah, that.
yeah, I've never seen that be an issue, so.
Yeah.
So one other thing, guys, that you may have to do is modify the image a little bit from just zooming it up or manipulating the contrast on the image. So what we can do is you see this little arrow here on the side. We can click that And it's just a left click. And a lot of times what people do is just left click and nothing happens. So once you left click, we can either left click and drag in here, or we can use these plus minus icons. I generally, that jumps too much for me, so I generally will click and left click and drag, and it'll zoom in all three planes that you saw. And the only other thing you should have to do is adjust. So if he's like and sometimes these scans they'll come up, you all know, they come up dark and looking weird. So all you'll do, and a lot of times they're very familiar with this because it's the same method they'll use in their packs when they're looking on packs, viewing images. So it's just left click and moving the mouse up and down or left and right, and they can find the contrast that they're looking for, the bone window that they're looking for.
What are the indication, I mean, what's their pre-diagnosis generally, why are they having this done?
Well, let's see, I don't know, what do they
What did you
generally
ask
do?
Steve, why they have this done?
Yeah.
It's usually for revisions or polyps, like if it messes up the anatomy.
So is it basically just more like a advanced?
Live side CT.
CT,
where
got
you
it.
pin exactly where you're at.
And then you would go in just and remove the columns and stuff like that?
Just make sure you get sign, who's in the right side.
Any other questions?
For us techs, all we have to do, I mean, like you said, can I take this off?
Sure.
All we have to do is this, open this tray, and then when he asks for it, it's usually just the suctions that you have to do. Like I said, you just put it on there, and then if this is not clicked all the way, it won't work. So, that's all we have to do. I mean, our part's very, very easy.
You say that different.
Well, let me just.
You say that. She's like, I do it with my eyes closed. Yeah. And I'm like, how the heck does it connect?
Is it only one instrument at a time, or can you have more than one of those blue cords?
Yeah, you can have more than one. Good question. Yeah, you can absolutely have more than one.
The cords come to a pack, or?
They just come one individually packed. You all got them right outside the door there in the sterile cord, but they come individually packed one at a time.
Since you don't have something clearly on one tray, so if you got more than one a day, you better have to get it reprocessed.
Any
Y'all
other-
generally open more than one, or do you just leave one issue?
Just right.
Any other questions for Reggie while we've got him here? Let's attack him. Let's get, not harass him, attack him. Okay.
Yeah. Donna, the policy's in the break room.
Yes. Anybody else? All right. Thank you so much, Reggie.
No problem. Thank you all.